Hey, Catholic Brownies! Jacob the editor here. Just a quick note before the podcast starts. You may notice that Isaac is a bit sick during this episode, so at times you may hear some breathing in the audio. I did my best to reduce and edit it out where possible, but because of the way the podcast was recorded, some parts were difficult to fully clean up without affecting the conversation itself. That's all from me. Hope you Brownies enjoyed the episode. Peace.
Welcome back, guys, to the Common Man podcast, where we give a voice to the common man, or woman in this case. I am Ben, and of course you can see Wilroy is missing. He's in Sydney right now. I don't know when he's going to come back. He might be dead. But yeah, I'm your local Catholic Brownie, and let's get right into this. So, Jasmine, Isaac, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. And Jacob in the background. I don't know if you can see him. But first of all, give us some background. You know, who are you guys? Even before you met, how'd you grow up, your family life, and yeah, kind of where you are right now.
So my name is Jasmine, and I am basically live in St. Albans with a Vietnamese household. So I live with my parents and my twin sister. And throughout my life, I was baptized since I was 6 months and was baptized in Vietnam as well. Growing up, I always went to masses like every Sunday. However, since I was so young, I don't even know what I was supposed to be there for. I just know that, I just follow my family for what they believe in and stuff like that. Especially when I was younger, I would go to those classes as well, like especially at PRECA, where I met Ben and Rivoy. And I was only 6 back then, so I didn't even learn the things I did back then as well. And then when I grow up, especially when I go back with Isaac, which you will hear along the journey of how we met, and I became to learn more about my religion. So yeah, and right now I am a speech pathology student at ACU.
Okay, fair enough. So Isaac, what about you?
Alright, my name's Isaac. So I grew up in a half Chinese, half Vietnamese family. Throughout my whole life, I guess I would follow my parents' religion, which was just Buddhism. And at school, I would also learn about the Catholic faith and learning about the stories. And yeah, my family is I'm pretty grateful and happy for. I didn't have expectations when I was younger, but then as I grew older, those expectations kind of went away. So it would be me placing those expectations on myself. My journey of, I guess, religious faith has changed a lot. I think going back to when I was younger, I was following the Buddhism side. I always had an idea that there was a God. Or my kind of interpretation was there's a God, just all being God. And, in any religion I was following, I was still connecting to him. So yeah, growing up was just Buddhism, and then maybe middle school, high school, when I was learning about Jesus Christ and the Catholic faith. And then I think particularly during COVID, it was when that Catholic faith started growing to me more, and I'm here now. I'm currently a honors psych student, and I'm starting to become a psychologist.
Okay, cool. Just a quick, quick note. Yes, Jasmine, when she was 6, she didn't meet us when she was 6, though. We only met recently. So I just realized as you explained that, I'm like, wait, that could be confusing. All right, well, thank you for that. I guess I know that you guys, your one of your biggest passions is that you'd like to talk about mental health. It's something that you both been through. I guess where or when or what made you discover this passion for, psychology or mental health studies, or just, yeah.
That could be more towards Isaac's area actually. So.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so I mean, I think for me it's back in high school, I'm very I would like to have my study and home environment separate. So when I go to school, it's okay, I'm here to study, to learn. I come back home, do work, and then have a break. I think when COVID came in, it kind of threw everything out the window, and now my school environment was in my rest environment, which was in my bedroom. So things kind of collided, and then became stressful and anxious, I guess, navigating something that we were never really taught to. Even our parents, this was their first time going through COVID. So for me, it was really anxious and I guess very stressful. The thing about me is I also love to play sports. So I grew up starting off with a bit of tennis, swimming, athletics, and then maybe around when I was year 7, so about 12, I started playing badminton. That lasted for 4 or 5 years, and when COVID happened, couldn't play badminton anymore. So that really impacted, I guess, that sports side for me. Yeah, and I think during COVID, it was one of like my very hardest years. So I was in year 10 back then. I was also doing an Excel subject in biology. And I think the hardest part was just trying to manage, I guess, trying to keep up trying to learn in a new environment. Doing assessments, I think, was the most stressful, as many of you guys might have known, you know, having your camera on, worrying about technical difficulties, stuff like that. But yeah, I got a lot of like anxiety, and I think that anxiety then translated to a lot of stress, and then sometimes a bit of depression, which was, you know, obviously not ideal, but yeah.
Okay, oh, fair enough. I guess he was talking about COVID. How did you cope during COVID?
Back then,
This was prior to before you guys met, right?
yeah, with then how I cope with COVID is also like, I guess I didn't do like an Excel subject back then like Isaac did. So like,
Sorry, could you just clarify, what is an Excel subject?
it's like,
Like, you're talking about Excel as Excel spreadsheets, or Excel is something else?
So like an Excel subject is like where you can take on a BCE subject in year 10. So for example, I was doing biology, 11 biology in year 10.
Oh, okay. So we called it accelerated. Okay,
Yeah, I just
sense.
call it Excel for shorthand.
Oh,
That's
okay,
why.
okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue.
yeah, so I didn't do that. So then I didn't have that much academic stress like Isaac did. However, I did have a learning disability and still have it now.
Okay.
So then that kind
Do you
of,
mind elaborating as to what that is? If you'd like, or if you'd not like, it's all right.
yeah, so basically I was diagnosed with this type of disability when I was 3 or something, or
Okay.
2, can't really remember. It's around the early age. And then that impacted my learning ability as well. So during COVID, it was a bit more harder as well, or how to do like my assessments, to do any type of schoolwork at home as well, because throughout my education life, I needed like some type of learning like support around me so that I can adapt to things. So that journey was a bit more harder in terms of that as well. Also, my mental health is also going down because it's just very overwhelming. And like during COVID, as you know, you have to be at home at all costs, and so you're only allowed to go out for like a certain amount of time just to buy food or something, some essentials. So then it was a lot harder to deal with before the ease of the lockdown that has been happening as well. And then I guess the other part of my mental health that has been impacted, but I think it happened through my life, is my low self-confidence was always really low. And then I think when COVID happened, it just hit rock bottom a lot more.
What do you think? I mean, especially as when you're children and you're younger, a lot of people tend to have pretty low self-esteem, and they show it in different ways.
Yeah.
What do you think attributed, aside from the cases of being isolated in COVID, maybe even back prior to COVID, what do you think added to why you felt the way you did about yourself, or why you felt such low self-esteem?
Because I can see that my grades was actually not that good back then.
Okay.
So then like that kind of say like, oh, you're not that good enough or something because you didn't try that hard enough and stuff like that. And then at the time, I felt like, oh, you put a lot of weight on or something like that because all you did is just stay home and eat food and everything, right? So then it was like, oh, you're getting so much weight and stuff like that. You need to cut that down. And then at the time, I had really bad acne as well, and I was trying to reduce it down, and due to stress and everything, it comes out a lot more as well. So that also happened as well, which contributed to my low self-esteem as well.
So I guess how did you cope with all those things without, I don't know, like, was it pretty like, I guess, public in the way that your so low self-esteem was there, or did you try to keep it locked in? How did you deal with it?
I guess I tried to like keep it in to make sure like no one can see it and stuff like that. But then it kind of like spiraled out, like to myself when I'm like alone and something. I kind of spiral, so like, oh, you're not that good enough. But when I'm in front of people, it's like, oh, I actually try my best to not show it because I don't want other people to see what I have.
That's interesting. I know it reminds me of like a song for me back in the day that I heard, which was called Confessions by, he's a Christian rapper, his name's Lecrae. And I don't fully remember the lyric itself, but it was something like, you know, when I'm around everyone, they see me crack a smile, but they see me like, you know, laughing and everything, but they don't know how many tears it's taking to crack a smile.
Yeah.
So do you think like something like that's kind of how you felt? Like you were pressurizing yourself? Was the pressure just from your own like mentality, or was it from everyone else around you, family, your friends?
I feel like it's my own mentality.
Okay.
And then every time when that happens, I would think, oh, my family wants me to do this, or it's my friends that want me to do this. But in reality, I think that's based on me, because I wouldn't know what my parents think at the time. So I would just say, oh, my parents just want me to do this. Same goes for my friends as well.
I mean, Isaac, you mentioned it earlier that within your household, within maybe generally Asian households, if you're a first generation here, you tend not to discuss the cases of like mental health or things like that with your family. I guess for the ones that maybe haven't grown up in those types of households, could you, either of you, but maybe Isaac, could you explain why you wouldn't discuss this with them? Like what was so foreign about the concept of mental health?
Oh, I think, like for me, I remember talking about my parents about it. So like going back to 2020 is, I understood the kind of the concept of like, everyone gets sad, right? Sometimes, whether it's a mark, many times where like I got a mark I didn't like, I get upset about it. But after I get upset, I'm like, okay, I kind of move on, process it, and like, you know, I'll just do better next time, right? I think how I knew something was different was when I got sad, I kept feeling sad, and it didn't matter what I would do, nothing felt better. So that's how I knew something was wrong. And I guess the stigma of like telling my parents was, I think it's just because my parents, they grew up from like a rough upbringing. So my dad, he immigrated from Vietnam to America, then America to Australia due to the Vietnam War. My mom also immigrated as well from China to Australia, and they had like as like maybe when you ask your parents, they say, oh, it's like things were a lot harder back then, right? And I guess telling your parents, I think when I first talked to them about it, I realized that they weren't validating me, or they weren't trying to understand. At one point, I guess one thing that helped me was I understood their point of view, so I knew, yeah, obviously they had it a lot harder. We don't have the technology and the advances we have today compared to what they had back then. But I think it was hard for them to just see my point of view, where I was coming from. And I think one thing I hated the most was like when people, sometimes my parents would be like, oh, there are people worse than you, or this and that. Yeah. And to me, that comparison is a bit, I feel like it's just unnecessary, because I feel like everyone goes through everything differently, and some people might find things harder than others, which is okay. What matters is that whatever you're feeling, no matter what it is, it's completely validated. You're okay to feel like that, you know. And the most important thing is you speak to someone, you talk about it, and you improve on it. And I think with my parents, it's just, I knew they loved and cared for me. I think it was a bit of that barrier where they just didn't understand what was making me upset, because I think due to their experiences, right, it's like they had to go through, uni. It's like they had to do this. They don't have technology now. Things are a lot harder, like jobs and everything. And so they were basing their, I guess, knowledge on their own experience. And since I grew up in a different time than them, right? And I've seen how it's evolved already. I definitely know when I have children, I'm not going to be fully understanding what's going on with them. But I think, yeah, I guess it was a part that one, they couldn't attribute that what we're going through was like, something that should make you upset. It's like, that should just be like normal, right? We went through harder things, right? So if we went through harder things, how can your one be hard, or how can it make you upset, or how can it make you feel down, right?
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point there, especially when you're saying like the way that we perceive different things and the way that our parents' generation perceive things. I think the best way I was explained about it is that our parents, of course, the reason why they look at it as such a, maybe not just a taboo, but maybe as something that's insignificant, is because for them it's like worrying about, do you have food on your plate, or are you sad? And of course for them it's going to be the first option. And the other thing, which is like, I guess we're not here to judge the size of anyone's crosses, because to each person it's heavy. The only thing we can do is our best to help that person and to carry that cross with them. So yeah, but you were an only child, right?
No, I have a sister. So,
you have a sister. Okay, so I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have a younger sister.
I guess, yeah, both of you have a sister. You have a twin sister.
Yeah.
When you were going through everything and you were, I guess, going through your own struggles, did you ever talk about it with your sister if you didn't talk about it with your parents? And how did that did that help you? Did it make things worse sometimes? What happened?
The thing is, my parents, and the thing is, I love everything that they do for me, and I know that my parents are trying to support me and everything, but the similar case like Isaac said, it's actually pretty similar to what he's been through as well. So sometimes talking to them about my problems, especially when it comes to uni now and everything, when I'm stressed about failing a subject, which I did back then and everything. And then I just put that pressure on myself. And then when I try to express that and everything, my parents would be like, oh, just go with it. Or like, just not study, but like, just be confident and everything. But like, I feel like if I talk about too much or something, then they will actually get, like, let's just say they won't understand. So then it feels a lot harder to talk to them, especially like, it's a different generation that they live in, right? And then they just say like, oh, we took it harder. So, and you should appreciate the things that we did for you, or the hardships that we did is all for you. So it feels like I don't want to talk about that with them. And yeah, you did ask like why I didn't talk about it with my sister as well. And I know they all love me and they care for me. It's just that sometimes I wouldn't talk about it too much with them. So then I try to resolve it on my own.
Is that because of your own personal, like, I guess maybe, I wouldn't say grievances, but is it that maybe like you didn't want to put extra stress on them, or was it the case that it's just like you didn't want to feel maybe worse than you already are in that moment if they didn't understand?
I don't want to put stress on them, especially my mom. I noticed that every time I talk to her about my problem, I can just see on her face that she's worried about me, especially if she has so much on her plate, like her work. And she recently had a job interview for a manager role in her current job right now.
Okay.
So then when I see her that stressed, especially working long hours every day from like early in the morning until like 11 p.m. at night, like she will go overboard and everything. Like she's a very dedicated worker, especially even my dad as well. He will work long hours, like he will work from 7 a.m. until maybe like 4 p.m. but sometimes even finish at 5 p.m. let's just say. So they both work really long hours. They're very diligent, and I love them for everything they did for me. And they did that all for me and my sister to get the better education. Especially they will put us through everything, like extra support classes, speech pathology sessions, OT sessions for what we needed when we were little. They will go through all that. And then talking to them about it, I don't want to put too much pressure or like too much stress for them, because it just makes them feel like, oh, I need to try harder to provide for her or stuff like that. So this is the thing I want to try to avoid. especially growing up now, and my sister graduated as well. I feel like they have, I feel like she has some like type of like worries, especially my parents, of her applying for a job and the process of that now. How is that going to work for her? So I feel like right now my mom is actually worried or like stressing of how my sister could get the job or something, especially for like the process that she needs to get. So I don't want to add too much pressure into my parents at all.
Okay, that's very understandable. It's very commendable as well. But I mean, like as you kind of tread into the future, don't you think that at least like I mean I want to say devil's advocate, but it might be wrong to say, but more from an exterior perspective, right? Don't you think that it would be better if they're a bit more involved in understanding those things, or do you think that they just wouldn't understand because of the way that they've grown up as well? And you just, like, aside from the extra worry.
I feel like it's more like the extra worry.
Okay.
I feel like it's not because I feel like they will understand.
Okay.
I feel like I can see that like they understand a lot better of how I talk to them long time ago during COVID until now. I feel like we all adapt of how we can understand better. But of course there's some differences. But
Okay.
like at least we all of us know how to adapt and understand each other better.
Okay.
But like I'm scared if I say more things than what I'm worried about, like passing uni or like everything. It's gonna add so much stress into my parents and thinking like I don't know what they could think of me or like stress about me and stuff like that. So it's just I don't want to add too much worry or stress onto them.
Okay. Isaac, you also said that you have a younger sister. If I was to ask kind of a similar question, did you ever, how old is she in comparison to you?
Oh, so she's 2 years younger than me. So I'm 21 now, and she'll be 19. So
did you ever discuss your troubles with her, or was it a similar situation that you just didn't want to cause extra worry for anyone?
I think for me, like one thing I kind of like, first I would always like say this, like if you're struggling with something, always ask for help. So my first thing was to try with my parents. Okay, I want to ask them, because you know when I was younger, it's like as a kid, if you have a problem, you always ask your mom and dad, oh, how do I fix this problem, right? So I remember trying that, and like kind of going back to what I was saying is, I tried it and I realized that they weren't getting my point or trying to understand me, and like it kind of it hurt me a little bit, but in a way I kind of see their point of view as well. So it didn't really affect me that much. And ever since then I just like stopped talking to them. Regarding my sister, her and I, we had like a very close bond when we were younger, but I think as we grew older, I started hanging with like our own separate friends. We didn't really talk that much, except maybe I remember talking to her once. I mainly talked to my best friend because he was also going through the same thing. So him and I were helping each other and supporting each other through it. And like I guess one thing I kind of like developed from going through it myself was like just the belief that okay, I can do it myself. And it got worse in year 12. That's when it got very bad. So year 10, I'll say it was the start of it, right? When I said I got more anxiety. And year 11, it was still there, but it had its ups and downs. And in year 12 is when I think it started like getting pretty bad.
So what triggered the spike in year 12?
That year, my friends and I, we did trials for first volleyball team, and we made it in. And there was also a role for captaincy, and I applied for a role for captaincy because I wanted to. It was something I wanted to do when I was in year 12, just to be like a captain. I got the role captaincy, so everything was all good. I think the role of just it's year 12 now. It's like the pressure is like the academic pressure to do well, and you know whether it's with your parents' pressure or just even the pressure of just year 12 in general, right? Yeah, that was quite a lot. And also I think the role of captaincy as well, I kept on thinking, I have to keep being good captains in game, like this and that. And one thing I did notice something different was usually, so back then in high school, and still now I still play games, and that would be my way to like relax. So Friday and weekends after doing homework or studying, to relax I would play games. And I remember one Friday a week I played games, but then I wouldn't feel relaxed. I'll still be thinking about either high school, year 12, like studying or even captaincy. And then there was one day that where I just, in a volleyball game, I just completely broke down. I remember I just completely out of it.
During the game?
I had to get subbed off and I just completely broke down, completely out of it. It was just too overbearing and something. And yeah, it was the first time I felt, this is like pretty bad now, right? And I remember that year was, this is a big problem now, right? I went to see a GP, they gave me a referral to a psychologist, and I was thinking, how am I going to do this? I'm dealing with something I've never dealt with before in a year where it's like, it matters the most, right? And I was like, yeah, it got me very more anxious, stressed, and depressed. And regarding talking to my sister, I think this was, I talked to her, I reckon, if I try to remember it, towards the end of year 12, or maybe the mid-year year 12, can't remember exactly when, but I remember talking to her about, I was quite talking about how I was feeling, and, you know, ironically, I remember saying like, I think another reason why I didn't want to tell my parents was because I always felt like as the older child, right, like, you know, you kind of,
You have to hold everything in.
That, but also like your parents be like, you know, they're like, they're like worried if like how you're gonna be like in the adult world and stuff, right? And I remember hearing a comment that my mum said, right, to my sister, or she told me, right. I know it wasn't in like a malicious context, but like taking it in back then, I felt like quite hurt about it. She was like, if I couldn't handle what I was handling in year 12, how am I gonna handle like adulthood, right? And like stuff later on, right? I knew that question came more of a concern of worry in the hindsight, but back then I was like, it felt like they didn't believe in me, right? That I could overcome this and stuff.
You felt like misunderstood or something?
Yeah, I guess I felt misunderstood, and and in the sense that, if you don't believe in me, right, my own parents don't believe in me, it's like, it feels harder to like believe in yourself, right? But it was something I was telling myself, you know, I can get through this. And this is kind of where like, I guess my faith came in was, I remember God was always there, right? For me, like all those dark times were very, very like lonely, isolating, right? Because I kind of thought, if I tried reaching out, talking to my parents, they didn't really understand, they can't really help me. Tried to talk to my friends, they were busy with their own thing, and they didn't seem to really kind of like try to offer for help. In hindsight, I knew later it was because they just didn't know how to help, so they just didn't want to like try, right? Which to be fair, I kind of see that, and like I'm still friends with them, and we kind of made amends and stuff, because I understood, you know, it's not like they didn't want to help me, they just didn't know how to. And so I took it upon myself, I just had to deal with it myself, right? Deal with these problems myself. And while I knew I wasn't by myself, God was always there with me.
So, if you don't mind me asking, I guess I'm cutting in here, but you grew up as a Buddhist?
Yep.
Okay. The way that you're talking about, at least God in this context, sounds like you're talking about the Catholic, the Christian God.
Yeah.
Are you still referring to the same God in that context, or was it more like just a general sense, like there's a higher being, I kind of know that, or is this just like from your hindsight you're speaking? If you could just contextualize it a little bit.
Yeah. So like, I think kind of. So growing up, my parents always told me like I can choose any like religion I want. So I would say maybe middle school, high school, like I started to choose like, I believe there was a God, right? Like my thought process was this like a all-being God, and then like the religions, like the different type of gods were like, I guess like, I don't know, like the sons or daughters of like God, right? They're kind of different religions, you know, have different gods, but they all lead to like the big big God on top. And I think regarding the Catholic, regarding year 12, the context for year 12, I think the God probably more referred to the one in the Catholic faith, so the father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would, and that was also when I guess like, because my high school was a Catholic school,
Mm-hmm.
and we would go to church like I think once a semester or so, once a term,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I learned a lot about Jesus, and I would always just talk to God about, you know, how am I going to do this, and because I guess in a way where if you can't rely on anyone else, you just like, okay, I have to get through this myself, and then I would just talk to God in a way to help me like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to believe and trust in you even though things are hard right now and I don't know. I feel kind of hopeless. I've got nothing to hold on to. But I believe that you will get me through this. And in a way, like, kind of sprinkling, I guess, kind of knew there was a God throughout my whole life, because I always say this to people, right? It's like, sometimes life feels scripted in a way. And what I mean by that is like, things just seem to happen for a reason, right? And you can account like many things like later on, for example, right? Like, oh, the reason I don't know, get into this course, or I didn't date this girl, you find out later there was a reason, right? Just to protect you.
Now?
Yeah, that too. But yeah, and in a way, it's kind of like I was like fascinated, and it's like, oh, you know, it feels like life, there is good things, right? And you know, no matter what the event is, you know, there is a reason, whether it's to build your character, to protect you. And like going back in year 11, this is like one of my ex-partners where she like cheated on me, right? That's another story for another day. But long story short, that kind of really broke
That would
my
have
heart.
definitely.
Yeah, and that's what contributed to year 12. So I guess that sense of like betrayal and trust, and you know, feeling that I couldn't trust anyone. And
Did that experience also affect your self-image? Because usually, for what I understand, a lot of when cheating happens for any couple, a lot of people go through a lot of self-image problems because they wonder like, oh, was it the way that I was as a person, or how I looked? So did that affect you as well in a similar way, or was it just mainly the trust?
I think in a way, yes, but not as bad as I would think, because I knew like when I was younger, like I didn't know really how to like look after myself, right? So that was like just a learning process, right? But even then, I knew I was like focusing on something else. So it was like learning to do well in study, or this and that, or sport, right? But as I grew older now, it's like, oh, I'm learning how to like look after myself more, do this more, right? And after year 12 when I had like a lot of insecurities and stuff, right? And those were hitting hard. Like back then I also had bad acne, and I was like much more skinnier back then.
Acne seems to be a common factor here.
Yeah. But yeah, even then I remember I'm just gonna, now that I'm like off year 12, I can like focus on working myself more. And yeah, and during that process, right, it's like also kind of like I learned how, I guess going back to like God, right? And those times when I was alone, it taught me and showed me what God's love is. It's like, that is to love yourself no matter what stage you are, and every flaw and every good thing about you, and that you know that you can change and always be better, right? You know, even if you feel like you have a lot of flaws and you may not be perfect, whatever it's looks, academics, whatever it is, right? Just to love yourself for who you are today.
So is that something that kind of helped you not only just process, but even get out of that really bad situation?
Yeah, and I think it was just like, you know, it was that sense of, okay, I know things were very hard, and like everything is like burning, like, everything's like, you know,
the world's breaking around you.
Yeah, and like but it was a sense that, you know, I felt like God was with me. You know, He was there. Like we take it day by day, right? And I remember it can sometimes feel like, oh, it feels impossible. Like, you know, I can't. To kind of bring more context, right? When I was anxious and depressed, I found it very hard to study and like learn, and like I would have no energy to, but I would still just do my best to learn as much as I could and study to the best of I can, right? And I think that's something that's very, very like underrated and not really praised upon, is that you know, regardless of what you're going through, whether it's, you know, mental health, physical health, or just any problem in general, right? As long as you do your best every day, no matter what that looks like, I think that's the most important thing. So, yeah, and I think like God not giving up on me, and kind of like, he would tell me like, things are going to be okay. And like, for some reason, I had this belief that, I remember my mom told me, she was saying, oh, if it's too painful for you, you can just like quit year 12, right? Because so she didn't want to see me keep hurting like this. But I remember I told myself, no, I already got this far. I'm gonna go through to the end, no matter how hard it is, right? Because I mean, I've completed just 11 years of school already, right? Might as well just finish the whole thing. And yeah, and I just told myself, I'm just gonna keep going through it no matter what. And I realized that like God would always be there with me, and he would always remind me that like things in the future will be okay, right? Even though if you can't see it right now, you can't really understand it, you just gotta trust. And I guess this is where like my faith comes in, and just having the faith is that, I go back to that quote, like, not by sight, by...
Oh, I live by faith, not by sight.
Yeah, and you know, I guess even now I still try to apply that, you know, things have still been okay, even when I'm worried, like, one worry is like, oh, am I going to get the ATAR enough to get to my course, right? But I got into my course, I got into my uni, and then even in undergrad I was worried if I wasn't getting into honours, but I got into honours still, right? Even things were tough. So that more than enough has told me that, all right, as long as I do my best, just continue to be a good person the best I can. I know that, you know, obviously I'm not going to be perfect. There'll be some days where I'm going to be angry, upset at people. I'm going to, you know.
Well, at the end of the day, we're still all human.
Yeah.
Like, God created us with emotions. At least from what I believe, God created us with emotions. Christ himself, he wept. He was angry. He was happy. I don't know if he got drunk. He definitely drank wine. I know that for a fact. But, like, God didn't create us to be robots, right? That's why we have free will. So if he was upset that, you know, if there was a day maybe you start yelling at him like, God, like, why is this going on, blah, blah, blah. It would be a contradiction to like giving us emotions in the first place to say like, no, you shouldn't be angry with me. You should always be happy. Yeah. Also interesting from what you said, like how you were always worried, but like inevitably like things did work out, you know, the way more you went along with it. And it kind of reminds me of, I don't know the verse, but I think it's a psalm where it's one of the verses of the Psalms, which is, you know, man makes the plans, but the Lord orders the steps. But to play devil's advocate a little bit, so it sounds like once you kind of started walking a little bit in your faith, you were able to kind of, I guess, maintain yourself while you were going through that really dreadful situation. I guess to play devil's advocate, why not just say like it was a change of mindset? Like, you know, you change your mindset, think more positively, and everything else just kind of works out. You know, what differs that from how you went through things?
I think because, well, I'm gonna just be careful.
I mean, you can be candid, and
just in terms of like, just like warning and like, you know, it would be like mental health, deep mental health. So, so I think what kind of changed from that mindset was back then, the depression got very worse, and I would have to feel non-suicidal ideations, right? Because I couldn't handle it too much. It would physically hurt my brain a lot, and it felt very hopeless, and just, you know, I remember those negative thoughts, like, and those anxious thoughts would couple in like, oh, how you gonna do well? Like, you got this and that, like, all your friends and this, and just everything, and it just felt overwhelming and just very, you know, distressful, and like, many moments I cried a lot, and I wanted to give up. And like, answering your question whether it was a mindset shift, I wouldn't say that. I would say, you know, God was always there. He would tell me, you know, I know you're suffering and it's hard, but we'll get through it together. You know, you're doing your best, and I see that, right? I think that's what a lot of people need to hear, is that, you know, despite things that may be crumbling, right, you are still doing your best every single day, no matter how hard it is and how painful it is, you know. And that kind of like love and hope. And I would watch videos about like videos to like not quit and stuff, right? And like
motivation.
yeah, during those times, and you know, it would help me like think about, yeah, that's, you know, you're right. Like, I guess kind of what helped me is also like watching media in terms of like, you know, you see people who, it's always the hero who goes through something very hard, and then, you know, but they slowly get back up and then things become better, right? So in that way, I always thought the same thing, right? And, you know, my best friend, he's also Catholic, right?
Okay.
And
Practicing or?
yeah, he is fully Catholic.
Okay.
So he also, ironically, he wanted me to like, you know, be Catholic one day.
Okay.
And yeah, he would also tell me about God and stuff like that too. So we would always talk about it too, and like help each other around that as well. And I think, like, kind of further answering your question is that how I knew it wasn't a mindset shift was, well, I didn't have anything to hold on to like to have hope for, right? Like, in a sense, I felt that God would gave me some hope, whether it was like telling me things were going to be okay, or just kind of give me a insight of what the future would look like a little bit, right? And that was enough for me to be like, you know what, that I'm going to choose to believe in that, right? And you know, hopefully, even if I can't see it right now, that's what I have faith in. And yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right, thank you, Isaac, for that. So Jasmine, we just discussed how he kind of went through and traveled through with his mental health.
Yeah.
You discussed how you were in a pretty difficult state and how your family life was surrounding that. How did you get out of it is my question. Or how did you cope with it? And then later on, how did you find a way out?
In terms of my faith, or like?
No, in the case of, his case was faith kind of did help him.
Yeah.
But if it did help you, you can explain. Otherwise, you know, what kind of helped you cope with the mental health? And if it was faith, please explain. If it wasn't, could you kind of shine some light on it?
How I coped with it back then, especially like during COVID, I think it took a lot of process, like a lot of finding ways to cope with it.
Okay.
Even still to now, I'm still finding ways to cope with it. So right now it's kind of like uncertain,
Okay.
but it's getting a lot more better because, like I said before, me and my family were able to adapt and understand each other as well.
Yeah.
And I actually get to learn more of how my parents grew up and how the things that they tell me and my sister what to do, it may look like it is from a hard place. It may look like, oh, it's very tense and stuff, a very tough love, but they just did it because they love us and they want us to be better. And so that's the thing that like I learned recently as well, and I've tried to take that on board as well. So I think with me, how I cope with it is like more of flexibility and me very open-minded to see why other people do this to me, or like why is this happening, and stuff like that as well. And I think how it got better now, because like when I met him, he also told me about the faith thing as well. And
Okay, since you're going to get into that,
Yeah.
before you continue,
okay,
how did you guys meet? And, you know, what sparked what we see now?
you want to explain this one?
Oh, well, you know, people might think I'm like, this sound too good to be true, but so this is
Maybe a very cheesy story.
No, it's
year
actually not.
year
It's not-
two,
it's not.
undergrad and mid-sem break, right? And sometimes I had a vision, right, where I was going down the street, driving back from home, so near like St. Albans, and I remember driving down that road in the car, and then to my left, right, I see a girl.
Okay.
She was wearing, if I remember, like black, and she had like black straight hair, but I couldn't see the face. And I was like, okay, I don't know what this means, but like, and then I remember driving past, and there's like a what do you call
This
it?
is like a dream you're talking about? Or
No,
this
like
is
an actual
Actual
vision. Like a vision.
vision.
What do you mean vision?
It's like
Are you actually saying like, so you're daydreaming, or is it like?
not daydream, but it's like I kind of see.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, this is like I need to put this in kind of like it's hard to really explain it. It's more like
Yeah, no. Even
it's
like
not a daydream where like you're thinking. It's more like you kind of just. It's like a 10-second video of something in the future.
yeah. What I'm trying to explain. No, what I'm trying to. I guess. So yeah, I get what you're saying, but
Yeah.
in my opinion, what I'm asking, this is like you're seeing this in real time.
Yeah, real time.
And then it happens.
Oh, like I see it in like real time, but it happens like maybe it happened like a couple weeks later.
Oh damn! Okay,
Yeah.
lit. Okay,
Yeah.
continue.
So yeah, and then I remember seeing like a fuel station, right, and then that's where the vision stopped.
Okay.
And then how we met was kind of like funny. So if you know Instagram, there's like the Instagram notes, and you can play music. One of my
I'm
favorite.
not that old.
I didn't say
Hey,
you
we're the
was, but-
same age.
Just explain how it happened. So one of my favorite K-pop bands I like to listen to is 17. So say hello to the fellow carrots out there, if there's any. And one of my favorite songs was World. So it's a love song.
You want to sing it?
No, thank you. No, thank you. But I'm sure you can play a track in the background.
Oh, we'll see what he does. Just put them together and put the song behind it.
Yeah, so when I put that song on Instagram, and then she replied, and then I'll let her continue the story. So
No,
she can...
I just replied because I actually know that group as well.
Okay.
And then
You're
I
like,
just
who's this weird guy?
no, actually, we met way beforehand as well.
Okay.
But we were friends on Instagram, but we didn't interact or anything like
Okay.
that. So then when I saw that he played, I can see that he was a 17 fan as well, and that's one of the songs I like. But I wouldn't say I love it. It's more I actually like the song and the group. So I
Okay.
responded with like, oh, you're like 17 or something like that, and then we just got together from there.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
So how does this do with the vision?
I forgot to add. I just remembered that. Right? Sorry, but I remember it. So I don't know about you, but when I came out of high school, I was like, when am I gonna get a girlfriend? Right? I feel like every guy asks that question, you know, one day, right? Like, God, when am I gonna find a partner, you know? And I remember hearing in mid-sem, like, oh, you know, this semester, I had a feeling that I'm gonna find someone, right? Like, you know, so that kind of reaffirmation was like, hey, God was telling me, oh, you're gonna find someone, and this will be your partner, right? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna like keep that in the back of my head, but I'm not gonna like, you know, because I think when I was in like year one, I was like trying to look for one, but I was like, you know what, whatever happens, happens. I'm just gonna trust in God. And when I told me that, and I saw the vision, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna acknowledge it and just see what happens. And yeah, so then it comes back. So she texted me on Instagram, and then we started talking, and I realized, oh, this person's like a lot like me, you know, and she's also like very similar to me. So I was like, okay, this is nice. Like I found someone that's like, you know, has similar interests as me, understands me. That's pretty cool. And yeah, we started talking more, and then we met each other for the first time. And this was like a while since I've been in a relationship. So, you know, I was like, I'm a very shy person, but I can be extroverted sometimes. And yeah, and then we started like chatting more and then hanging out more, and then got closer together. And then on the 8th of the 8th, I asked her out to be my girlfriend.
Okay.
And yeah. And I guess how I kind of see it as kind of like, you know, it's kind of God's plan as well. She kind of, when I kind of, I guess, prayed to God what I wanted, I say I would want a girlfriend, but I would want one kind of like who's understanding, loving, caring, and supportive, right? Kind of a lot like my mum, right? I guess when growing up, my
I'm gonna
parents.
cut in a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. No,
Yeah.
no, you can continue, but like I was literally talking about this to a man of mine the other day. But generally speaking, most it sounds a little bit weird when like you tell this in a more secular sense of things, even if you say it in a
Yeah.
religious sense of things. But generally, you tend to find someone that reminds you, like for a guy, it reminds them a little bit of his mother,
Yeah.
or for a girl, it reminds them a little bit of their dad. And when you first hear it, you're like, I would never do that. But like, yeah, it's like I think it's one is the sense of familiarity, like you feel
Yeah.
safe and you feel secure. But then the other thing is, like, if you're gonna, especially in your case, you have said before, like you have talked about it. If you're gonna get married, you want to have someone who you can trust to raise a family with. But yeah, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, and I guess like, you know, when I say like I want someone like my mom, is because I guess the way my mom supports my dad and like loves my dad, right, and vice versa, it's something I like kind of really want as well. It's very loving. Of course, there's going to be fights, but in a way that I can see how much love and care that they have for each other, and in that way, that kind of translates to how I love other people as well. Because that to me is the way they've like helped nurtured my sister and I was to always be a good person, to do good things, and to love and support each other. And yeah, in a way that I kind of wanted to have a match was find someone that has the similar match, so which is her. And like regarding the whole vision thing and you know the I guess affirmations, I also how I knew it was kind of the one was while we got together on the 8th, 2024, and in Asian culture, number 8 is very lucky. So
Okay.
if you add 2024 together, it's also 8, so there's triple 8s. So
Okay.
yeah, and I wouldn't lie, we've had our ups and downs, but with every conflict we've had, we've always so gotten closer. And I think with any relationship, even with God, there was always going to be conflicts and problems. We're gonna you know fight, disagree, but it's how we communicate, listen, try to understand. That's how relationships get closer and come deeper. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, so you're sorry. You were saying, so you met him,
Yeah.
and how did that help you with your, I guess, increasing your self-esteem as well as helping with your mental health? Like, how did that help your journey altogether?
Because after I met Isaac, I actually just find out that I recently like failed a subject there, and because of that, it lowered my self-esteem very, very much so. That like whatever Isaac was saying, what happened in Year 12, it happened to me around that same time
Okay.
as well. And then from then, Isaac would tell me that everything's gonna be okay, and then God is be there for me. But the thing is, like I told you, growing up, I just felt like, oh, I was just following God because my parents followed God or follow their religion. So I never actually get to actually experience and follow my own like religion with God until like much later. And also, like, do you know how I mentioned I was 6? I marked the number is actually like I was like 11 or something. Either
Oh,
way,
so you're older.
yeah, older.
Okay.
So like I went through like the PRECA's class, like the reconciliation, Holy Communion, confirmation, everything, right? But I didn't fully learn it. Like I'm so sorry. I was so I was so young.
Yeah.
So that I didn't properly get to learn. Also, when I reached to high school, I also went to a Catholic high school as well. The funny thing is, when I was in that Catholic school, there's only like 20% of my cohort who are Catholics, while 80% are non-Catholics.
Yeah, that tends to be the case nowadays.
So the majority of the friends that I made there, they are not Catholic.
Okay.
So then I tend to follow that because that's the conformity
Yeah.
of the whole school, because like barely anyone is Catholic. We don't take the Catholic religion very seriously in
Seriously.
high school and everything.
Yeah.
So like you tend to follow that. Also, I did dated someone in year 12 as well, and he is an atheist as well. And I think that was the biggest like callings that I move away from my religion.
Was that just because of the relationship and because you wanted to support him, or was it more like because you didn't have your own proper foundation for
Yeah,
faith
definitely
that you
that.
couldn't really like maybe like I wouldn't say convince it, but more in the case like you couldn't argue against anything that was happening.
Yeah, because I couldn't, because I didn't get a proper foundation of what
Mhm.
I learned about my religion and everything, and that relationship was very toxic as well. Because not only I moved away from that religion, I actually my low self-esteem very much was so much lower from then on as well. So I was in pretty much a bad place, but it's not like what I experienced when I failed the subject. It was a completely different thing.
Yeah. Sorry, just because for me, I've always had this question because I've seen people that I know personally and people that I'm related to as well. What not just for guys and girls both, but I don't know about you how maybe this happened in the relationship where you did get cheated on. What exactly draws you to keep going in a toxic relationship?
Since
Because you're already saying like your self-esteem was already at a pretty bad point as well as your mental health, and you know that this relationship is toxic.
yeah.
What keeps you in the relationship?
Because at that time, I feel because all of the stuff that he would say to me, like at that case, it would be about my weight, or it would be based on my academics and everything. It's not like his or something like that. I feel like, oh, he's more worthy because he's like good looking, he's smarter than me. Like for like a study score, like for 2 subjects that he did, perfect 50s.
Damn.
Perfect 50s. So like, and I'm.
Was he Asian?
Yeah, he's Asian.
What type of Asian?
He's bit.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair
he's,
enough.
he's bit. Yeah, he's bit. And I felt like at the time, like, oh, he's more worthy, and I'm just lucky to be with him. So
Damn, okay.
I have to make sure I'm like that.
You want to say something? I can see.
Yeah, it feels like I have to like be at that level, or like
Yeah.
if I move away from this relationship, I'm like no one like he is.
So you were gaining your worth from him.
Yeah, basically.
And then you're probably saying to yourself like, so if I leave, I'm worthless.
Yeah.
Or more worthless than what you already feel.
Yeah, because like he already accomplished so much at that time, and then like with me, I didn't do anything with him.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
It's like that.
Okay, that's interesting. Because for me, I could never understand staying in a relationship that you knew was toxic. Like I just couldn't understand the perspective. But okay, that gives me an interesting insight, I guess. But you did inevitably leave. Was it your choice or was it a mutual thing? What happened? It's if you want to talk about it.
It's pretty. I'll just be vague about it. It's like I can't get out of it because I felt like my worth was with him. So my parents would have to help me break up with him.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was that bad. Yeah. So
Fair enough.
it was that bad, and I was very naive at the time.
You were
too.
young. You were a kid.
I was so naive back then.
No, that's
like-
fair. Oh well, I do apologize. I didn't. I mean, it's not my fault, but like.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. It's okay.
No, not on behalf of man, but like, it would have been a very difficult experience. But
Yeah.
do you think that experience helped you now that you're with Isaac as well?
I feel like it did help, but also it did not at the same time. But the reason why it did not help what he did, it just makes me feel like I have to think of the worst that could happen between me and Isaac. Because it made me to overthink,
Okay.
like overthinking, but it did help me in the long run because I see the way Isaac
Treats
treats
you.
me, and he
Yeah.
loves me for the way I am. He respects me. He loves my family
Yeah.
and everything that.
But he also helps you as well.
Yeah, he also helped me, and he actually helped me find my way through faith again
Okay.
because of him. Because traditionally, you would think, oh, is the person who's Catholic help the other person who's non-Catholic in the journey? But
I mean,
at
no,
this
I've seen
point-
both journeys,
Yeah.
so it's fair to say. But I guess okay. So you met Isaac, and he did help you pull you out. How did he help pull you out? Like you did say that he loves me and all that, but what does that look like?
there's
from your perspective,
times
of course.
there's times that I'll be very emotionally overwhelmed,
Yeah.
or like sometimes there's times I would be very overdramatic in terms of my emotions, like for like a subject or things that me and my parents are disagreed on and stuff like that. But then Isaac come to my sense that it's okay, they love you, it's okay, you can pick up yourself again. He'll be very patient with me, despite all the emotion attacks that I was doing, especially onto him at the time.
So, from what you're saying, do you think that there was a time earlier on in your relationship that you felt that you were hurting Isaac? And
Yeah, I felt like I was.
what do you think?
Oh, I mean, the way I see it is that like, you're not, when, like my kind of definition of love is that like, you're not, she was never really hurting me. It's more that like, you know, I obviously want her to be happy with, well, people you love, you want them to be happy and, you know, be good, right? So to me, it didn't matter whatever she was saying or whatever problem she was bringing up. What mattered to me was how can I help her get through it and get better and you know, there were many times where she think she was hurting me and, you know, didn't want to, but I said, no, my priority is I want to be with you for the rest of my life, right? So I'm more than happy to change things and to help you get better, as well as help myself get better, right? And kind of, you know, love her and support her the best way I can, because I think with my parents as well, they kind of really influence the way I love and care for people. Is that, you know,
You seem to have a lot of respect and admiration for your parents. You did. I know I'm cutting in here
Yeah.
again. But you did explain earlier, like they came from a pretty rough background, and honestly, like even saying that they're Vietnamese and Chinese, which generally doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
To what I understand about the two cultures. Um, I guess even though they come from a more conservative, traditional style background, how has their impact and influence on you really, like, how has it changed and molded you as a person that you are today?
oh, I
What
think
would you say is the biggest impact?
I think just the way that they handle situations when people mistreat them. So, like, not to disclose too much information, but there'll be times where you know, my mum would be mistreated by one family member, right? And despite that, she would still be respectful and you know, and still caring. Even now that has happened in the past with the family member, now she will still, you know, be respectful, look out for her and love. And that to me kind of taught me enough that to like forgive other people in a way that is kind of, that I kind of adopted that but changed it a bit now. So I would forgive people only if they're willing to change for the better in terms of like, you know.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna. This is me like learning to stick up for myself more and not, you know, put myself. If someone keeps treating me badly, then I cut that relationship off. Because well, I know I respect myself enough to, you know, I don't deserve that, right? And no one deserves that, right? And that kind of ties in with the toxic relationship thing. Just gonna like quickly answer that bit. I think for me,
If you want, we can keep certain things anonymous.
yeah. So yeah, for me, the reason I guess I stayed in that toxic relationship was, I guess, when I see people, I always look at the good in them, and you know, even if they have bad stuff, I acknowledge it, but I wouldn't, you know, see that as a whole person, right? I think for me, it was just that I sometimes have this idea of who they are in my head, right? Like their good stuff, I like amplify more. So I still believe that they're this good person, right? And you know, despite what they're showing me in real life, right, they're quite opposite, right? So, you know, it's that hope like, oh, I know you're good, I know you can be good and stuff, right? But what they're doing in real life is complete opposite of that, right? So that's why I guess I hold on to a lot. And this is going back to like the vision thing, right? So I remember the year before I met her on New Year's Eve, I asked her, will I ever be together with her again? She said no. And the reason I asked her was God told me, was like, I have to fully let her go.
You asked the girl that you were previously dating.
Yeah, the ex that cheated on me.
Okay.
So I asked her if we ever be together, right? Because I was finding it hard to move on. But I remember God told me, like, you have to let her go because there's someone better, right? And, you know, it's obviously hard to let go of things that, you know, you cared for in a while, right? But when God told me that, it's like, you know what, I'm going to trust him that I need to let it go, right? Because you have something better for me, right?
There's an image, or there's like a short like comic which kind of really explains this best. And a friend of mine a long time ago told me about this, where it's like this is like a child, and the child's got this really roughed up teddy bear, right? And so God comes along as the father, and behind his back he's got this huge like colorful teddy bear, you know. But he's trying to take the old one from the child. And the child's like just holding on to it because it's what it knows, right?
Yeah.
And when you take something especially from a child, it doesn't know much, and that is like its only like attachment.
Yeah.
It's really hard to let go. And the father, the God says, you know, I need to take this for now, but you know, I got something just around the corner that you're gonna really love. And the child struggles. He still holds on to the very last hair of the teddy bear.
Yeah.
And then finally God just grabs it, and then he brings like the bigger teddy bear, and the child's just like happier than ever. And then it just holds onto it, and then God holds onto that child with the teddy bear.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of, the way that you're painting that kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Would you say that meeting Jasmine is kind of like that?
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree because, you know.
Do you agree with that?
I hope she does.
Due to experience I have, then yes.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way I kind of live life in a way, is that I guess when I reflect back on a lot of things that like didn't end up the way I wanted to end up, there's always something better that God has given, or, you know, or I can see, oh, this is why I had to go through this, right? Or, you know, and I guess that's what has built a lot of my faith. And I'll do admit, there are many times where I'm like, I sometimes just have no faith, right? And, you know, I start questioning and, you know, but then again, I know God is doing something, whether it's either to help change my perspective, whether it's helped me to, you know, deal with a sin, or even just love myself more, right? I feel like one thing that I think God I'm really appreciative about is he taught me how to love, not only for others, but mainly like how to love myself, right? And in a way that's helped me to see how he sees me and like how he loves me. And that's helped me feel a lot more better as a person and to others as well.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. I understand that'll probably be a little bit more closer to your heart, but I appreciate the honesty. But yes, going back to Jasmine. I'm sorry I cut you off in between.
Okay.
So yes, can you please continue? So you met Isaac, and you felt like even back then, there was times back then where you were emotionally hurting, and then you would probably project onto him. So how, even through all that, did he love you? And then when were you able to realize, like, hey, this person actually does love me, and he, well, I don't want to be rude. I don't want to make everything certain, but he won't leave me. And he wants the best for me. Like, when did you kind of realize that? And then in that realization, did you change?
I change right away. Like, I would realize that after I was calmed down, or like I was like already like calmed down. Like, okay, when you calm down and then you realize, oh, like when, let's just say you're nervous from the test, right? Let's just say you did your test and you're very nervous. So you're panicking, you're stressing about what answers you wrote on the test, right? And then after you come out, you feel like, oh, I could have written this better. Oh, I could have done this better, right? And then later on you feel calm about it. It's like, oh yeah, it's just one test.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Okay.
That's how I felt.
So it was a dramatic change.
Yeah, it was just a dramatic change. So like, yeah, there's things I still need to keep trying and change for him, but I realized that I've done it a lot differently because Isaac would often tell me that.
Something that both of you mentioned, and we'll start off with Jasmine this time, is the aspect of changing and even compromising and shifting parts of yourselves to become better, for your significant other, more complementary to say. Now, in the modern world, we would say that you're putting yourself down for someone else, or you shouldn't need to change. You're amazing the way you are. Which, depending on the context, I would say it works. How would you? Because look, you're still a young couple, not just in time but also in age. How would you both navigate that type of criticism? And how would you explain to them, like, there are times where you do need to change, and that doesn't necessarily compromise the person that you are?
How I would say that? Well, it depends what parts you need to change. Like, that's the thing. Like, it depends. Let's just say, because I know from where I grew up, there's a lot of like tough love involved. So there's sometimes I would accidentally project that onto Isaac without even any context at all. So then when Isaac told me that, he said he's willing to put up with it. However, I need to change the way I address it to him. So it depends on like which certain aspects. Because there's certain things we can keep. Just like, oh, you can tell me like what to change, but like don't say it like in a tough manner or something like that.
Context for that, my family is very more soft love, so that's why I'm kind of like, I can kind of deal with like criticism, but like I'm not used to that tough love because to me it feels like I get a bit like defensive and a bit like upset, like, oh, what's wrong with me, right? So that's just context.
Yeah.
Would you say you're better with tough love, or would you say you're the same?
I would say she's probably better.
Yeah. I think so.
Sorry, just to kind of carry on from what you said there. So changing yourself and not necessarily compromising who you are as a person, but even taking in the same way the previous question, where she was earlier like projecting a lot onto you, and then indirectly she might have been hurting you. Most men nowadays would be like, leave her, she's not worth it. She doesn't care about you. You're only hurting yourself more than she's hurting you. And that this relationship is just doomed to ruin. But from what you're coming from, you're saying, well, no, like I care about her, I love her, and for her to change, I also need to change as a person as well. How do you answer that criticism, or those like objections to your relationship?
Well, what I would say is this. Well, to me, it's like kind of like the way I relate it back to how like God loves us, is that even when we're pretty bad sometimes, right, He still never gives up on us, right? And it goes to the saying where, if you can't love me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with that. And I think personally for me, if you love someone enough, it doesn't matter how bad they may be right now, right? You don't give up on them, because that's when they need it the most, right? And regarding Jasmine, I knew, okay, it's a tough problem. When I get more information why it's happening, this and that, right? I'm like, okay, we'll work on it together, because just like any relationship, you're a partner, you're a team, right? And I think everyone has a problem, whether it's disclosed or not. And it's I think just in general, as a friendship or any relationship you have, to be able to talk about it, not be judged, and to feel like it's okay if you're feeling worse, if you're feeling pretty terrible and you've got a lot of baggage, right? If you care and love the person, we work on it together, right? I think just showing that care and affection to someone. Like, oh, I may not be the best right now. I may not be, I'm dealing with a lot, right? But showing them, it's okay, I see you. I'm willing to work on it together. I'll provide as much love and care as I can. And, I feel like that's all that really matters, because I think, that's where true love is, right? Love is not all sunshine and rainbows and fairy tale endings. It's the very nitty-gritty, in the trenches stuff, that's where it really blossoms.
I mean, yeah, I'd agree with that. I would say the best couples that I know are the ones who've been through the worst of it. And if you can't grow in your worst, of course, like you guys said, how can you ever imagine being at your best? I guess I'll ask Jasmine this. Because I'm interested to see. So he's, from the sounds of it, a lot of the start of the relationship was him really trying to get you out of your shell and loving you through that and all that. There's a lot of relationships where people can't really go through the tough parts. Like they're there, like he said, they're there for the sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
But the moment like they step in the mud,
Yeah.
they're like, I don't want to do this, and I'm out. I found that a lot with a lot of young women, especially within, well, I wouldn't just say the Catholic circle, but faith generally. Like women who come from the Hindu faith, the Buddhist faith.
Mhm.
I don't know many from the Muslim faith, but and yeah, from the Christian faith, whether you're Protestant, Catholic, or Orthodox. A lot of them in the modern day, they tend to not want to be there for the nitty gritty. So speaking from your own personal experience,
Yeah.
and going through the moments that you both did go together, what would you say to those women who are struggling to take those like that extra commitment during that time? How would you, maybe talking back to maybe your younger self,
Yeah.
how would you explain it and how would you help them?
What we need to do as women is that we actually need to communicate, because I feel like majority of us, especially I did to myself, is that we don't tend to communicate with our partners, because we just thought they know what we want already, so we just assume they know what we want already. So that's why all these problems came in, because we don't communicate. We just thought our partners knew.
You don't think it's the other way around, that men don't communicate?
Well,
Interesting.
it's because I can see these men who actually tries to communicate.
Okay.
But it's just a lot of us, even I did that. We just assume that the man knows what we want,
What builds that assumption?
because the time that you spend with your partner, and then it's like say, oh, how much do you know your partner and everything, right? So we just assume, oh, it's that. And it's like saying, oh, if the guys love us, they would know this by now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of mentality of saying oh, it's okay if we don't communicate because we know that our guys know us by now. So there's a lot of that. So like I would just say, for any problem, we just have to communicate. And I'm sure if we communicate, the guys will actually communicate more of what they want as well.
So when did you, I guess, start communicating your true feelings to Isaac, and how did that help blossom your relationship?
My true feelings, it was like a honeymoon stage. So of course everything is like all honeymoon and everything, right? And to the nitty gritty, like the problems, the conflicts and everything. That's when everything just like, and that's when I find out about the communication as well. Even I'm still working on the communication now, but I realized the more I talk to Isaac, based on how am I feeling and everything, like just by saying how am I feeling, it just makes me love Isaac more, because to know that he is there for me and that he's there to listen to me as well.
Okay. Isaac, how did, I guess, communication change your relationship, whether it was more from her side or both your sides?
Oh, I think for me, it allowed me to like realize kind of like what I'm doing wrong if she's upset and I don't know why. I think, you know, because I guess when you're under assumption if like things are okay, you're not fighting, like, okay, I'm not doing anything wrong, right? Like things are good, and then suddenly you have a fight and you're like, wait, why that happened, right? And I think allowing her to tell her needs and what I'm doing wrong specifically, like I'm not sure if I'm like maybe saying this or if I'm doing this, right? And if I know it, I'm like, oh, this is making you upset, I can change it so it doesn't make you upset, right? And that to me is like the most important thing, right? Is this kind of goes back to like the change, right? It's like, I feel like if you love your partner enough, you're willing to change behaviors if you see it hurting them, right? And if obviously you don't communicate that, then indirectly you might continue doing that behavior, but you don't know that's hurting your partner, right? So I think that's where like communication is very important. But in order for communication to occur, there needs to be a safe environment, and for both parties to feel safe and feel vulnerable, feel like they will be listened to. And I think we had this a couple of times, is that when we communicate back then, it would be who is more right or who's more wrong, right? But it's not about being right or wrong. It's more about, okay, what do I need to do together? Like what we both of us need to do together to work on our relationship, right? Like what am I doing that's affecting her, and what is she doing that's affecting me? And when you do that and work on it together, then you can resolve that conflict, but you feel more loved. It's like, oh, you know, I can see you're doing it now. It's like you actually took the advice, right? And then, you know, it's like that. I feel like that's teamwork in general, right? Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Jasmine kind of mentioned that she had to go through her initial emotional trauma to help to then get to where she needed to be in the relationship. What was maybe a difficult quality of yours that you feel like you, or maybe Jasmine feels you needed to work through to bring the relationship to where it is now? And how did you work through it?
I kind of get stressed a lot and like anxious a lot, so then that would like lead to a lot of you know, conflicts, fights and mishaps, as far as she would get very tired and feel like going back to like, you know, she didn't want to deal with it anymore, right? Yeah. And you know, yeah, I think a lot, like due to the conflicts, it also made the relationship stressful, uni stressful, and everything else stressful. And like, I guess how I dealt with it was like kind of just communicating a bit more, talking about it, but also like I think changing my perspective on things now, and like you know, reconnecting back to like God, because you know, I think a lot of my stress comes from like worry about the future, and you know, and like all of the problems that's like affecting me now. But then I kind of keep reminding myself, and one thing I've been trying to do more is be more grateful for the things I have and the blessings that God has given me, and stuff like that. And it's helped me just, I guess, live life more happier and better, and you know, in the way that I feel like God would want us to live, in a way, not to just be fully stressed and everything, but just to do your best every day, enjoy what you have, no matter what that is, and you know, it's okay to strive for things you want, you know. Okay,
fair enough. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I guess the part that I now kind of want to discuss is, now you both are on your own faith journeys. You're a catechumen who's about to be baptized. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think I feel good. It went by fast. Yeah, like it was kind of ironic. I remember in one of the RCIA classes, Brother Tony, who's like our teacher, and
the
greatest of all time. Shout out to Tony.
He's also my sponsor.
Love him very much. I remember he was talking about, in the beginning you might have not a little faith, and towards the end you have more faith, right? ironically, the opposite has happened to me, where I had a lot of faith in the beginning, but then it kind of dwindled down, right? Not in a way that I don't believe in God, but in a way it's like I find it harder. But in that moment, I realized, I feel like it's because I'm towards a next step of, deepening my relationship with God. It is going to be harder, right? And I feel like the most growth and the most connection is when it's hard. And for this maybe start of a couple months, I was like, I was feeling a little hard to believe, but I still choose, even with year 12, to continue to believe, because if he's keep waking me up, he's still giving me good things, opportunities to do things. That's how I know he's still there. And I guess I'm excited, because it's like, oh wow, I actually went through this long journey and keep going, and yeah.
Interesting. Well, most of your, I guess, ignition was in school, as you said, right? And your journey with mental health and your struggles. But in your case, yes, you did start young, but you didn't really take too much of an interest. Unless you didn't
Yeah, I
observe
did.
too much. How did his interest in the faith spark yours back up again?
Because I remember one time when I told my parents about Isaac, right? And then they met him and everything. And as a few months go by, my parents asked me, like, does Isaac know about your religion and everything? And I said, yeah. And if you want, you can take him to the church to see how he likes, and because I'm Catholic and stuff like that. And then ironically, the same night, Isaac was like, oh, I want to go to church with you one day and see how the church is. So
damn.
yeah, on the same day.
You were like, okay, maybe this means something.
Yeah. I'm just like, had they been talking or something? And then I think it was I remember our first mass together was actually like a regular mass, like 6 p.m. on a Sunday night. And then I remember that he actually enjoys it. And then this is when he told my mom, or my mom suggests that if he wants, he can turn to Catholic or something like that, right? And then Isaac gave a big thought about it for like a few months or something. And then he went to like the PRECA when we did all the classes for RCIA. And that's when we met all of yous. And then when he was learning the stuff from there, I also learned some stuff from there that I did not learn when I was little.
Was it because you're an adult and now they're teaching that type of content to adults, or was it more because you had a reason to be interested this time?
I had a reason.
Okay.
I had a reason. I felt like I was learning more, and I felt like, yeah, I actually understand a lot better now, and I actually appreciate more of my faith and everything. And then I saw that my sister was actually at the stage, she wasn't like.
She was questioning.
Yeah, she was questioning. So I told her about it, and then now when I told her about it, she feels like, okay, she can understand that more. So she prays daily now. She even prays for BTS tickets as well, for when they come here as well. Like, she's actually on that grind right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, interesting. So, I guess, what is something that you've learned now, in this stage of your journey, but also your life, that maybe you wish you would have known better as a child, or maybe going through the things that you went through in your past?
I just wish back then as a child, I would want myself to know that my parents generally do love me and do care for me. It's not that they hate me, they just want me to do better. And all the stuff that you've been going through with all the people in your life, it happens for a reason, and there's something better along the way.
So that was what kind of learning about the faith. Actually.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always the fundamental but also common factor that we find in a lot of Christians, both new to the faith and old, that it's hindsight which seems to be the greatest blessing. It's in hindsight that we see, okay, this all worked out, right? How how would you explain that to someone who might be more a secularist? I wouldn't say an atheist per se, but like agnostic, right? Who might just say um, yeah, it makes sense now, but back then, it didn't make any sense, or like it doesn't really change anything, right? I don't know how to fully explain that question, but I hope you can understand what I'm trying to say. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I feel like catch your drift.
I feel like it.
Basically, like, okay, like we all understand, in the moment, nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Right? But we look back, 10 years later down the line, we look back and we're like, you know what? Fair enough. If I did that, the thing I wanted to do back then, I would never have got this.
Yeah.
But if you explain that to an agnostic, right, and say like God has a better plan and he sees the whole picture while we see like a point or a dot, right? Again, all of it just kind of goes back to that's your mindset, right?
Yeah.
It's nothing to do about God, but rather about how you see it. So now that your perceptions change, you've become an overall happier or more positive person. So how again do you then explain maybe something like that to someone who doesn't really believe? Even if you're not using a theological term, even a more sociological way.
I'll put it this way, like, how would you, because like the kind of my answer is like, there are events that happen for a reason, right? And they lead to certain outcomes, right? Then how would you explain that in a sense, right? If
Well, people could be like, it's coincidence.
it could be coincidence, but coincidences can happen so many times, right? Many examples are I could have died when I was fishing when I was younger.
What did you do that could have killed you, bro?
Well, I was 4 years old and I was in a fishing farm and I was like, Dad, I got a fish. The fish pulled me in.
Oh, damn.
I disappeared and then my dad caught me. Another time was, I was going to the garage and then the whole shell fell on me, but it didn't like fully fall. It just stopped there. There were like
You're
hammers.
too strong, that's why. Bro.
Yeah.
Like something, it just stopped diagonally.
Yeah.
I was on the ground. Hammers and like nails were falling, but
damn.
none of them
Oh
hit me.
my god.
And
Did you know that?
I didn't know about the hammers. I knew about the cupboard. I knew about the fishing, but not the hammers in the
Oh, fair enough.
I just say, I think there's just, in a way, like, there's...
Coincidence can only happen so many times.
Yeah, and I feel like it's like there's some high being that's protecting me. Like, examples, like, well, not personally for me, but like, you hear stories about how people, they didn't go to something, right? Like, or they're late for a meeting or late for work, and then they realize, oh, it was lucky they're late because, I don't know, something happened, like, it's like stuff like that, right? Where, it just doesn't, logic doesn't explain it, and therefore I feel like,
All right.
yeah.
Well, okay, fair enough. Say, cool. Okay, there might be a higher being explanation for it.
Yeah.
How do you know it's the Christian God? Why not be the whatever the Buddhist God is? Or
Look, that one's a hard one to say, because I think, like, this kind of taps into what my old view was there is a higher God, right? Like a God that like sees all, and that's kind of like, connected in a way to every separate religion, right? And because I think, even for instances like my parents, they still believe in Buddhism, but good things happen, and like, it's kind of what I was explaining before. So I think that question is like, I'm not going to go into like which God is better, because I think all like religion gods are like equal and respected in their own way, and that
I'm going to get into a little bit of if you don't want to answer, it's fair.
Yeah.
Enough. I guess because now you're going through RCIA and you're learning about the faith. One thing that we learn in the catechism, we learn when we go to mass or we receive the sacraments, is that Catholic Church teaches like they're the one true church founded by Christ, and like Christ literally says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. All those who believe in me shall have eternal life, may have eternal life forever." So, if Christ Himself says, "I am this," not these are all different things, then why, why say that every religion is equal per se?
Okay, I guess what I mean by that is like, it's hard to explain because like I do believe in Christ as I'm going through the process, but that doesn't mean I would look at someone else's like. I'm gonna be careful how I word this because it's like it's really hard.
A rough
to
explanation.
It's really hard to explain this in a way that I don't want to like make it interpreted wrong because everyone has different beliefs, right? I got friends who are Muslim, Buddhist, and just different beliefs, and I respect their culture in a way like I respect what they believe in, right? And I think for me, I look at it in a way where it's like I follow the faith I want to follow, and I respect other people's faith as well. As long as we're all like respectful, we're good, then I feel like there is really no right like answer. As long I feel like at the end of the day, you're a good person, you love like, in our case, you love like Jesus, you care, you respect. That's the main important thing I personally believe in anyway. And yeah, so that's a very ambiguous question, but that's kind of how I would answer.
Yeah, I mean, I'd give a different answer, but I think it's a talk for another time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put you guys in a tough position. But that's fair. That's fair. So yeah, Jasmine. So, you sound pretty like confident in your faith.
Yeah.
What is your perspective on everything that you've learned, and where would you say that you're at with your faith now?
I feel like I'm very content and very like much faithful to my faith than I ever did before. That is based from like Isaac, from PRECA, even my family a lot more now, like compared to before, as I understand from their perspective. Because I will tell them what I tell them like about what I learned in PRECA, and they'll elaborate more, and that makes more sense. And now there's times we actually pray together, like at least once, like every few weeks or something at night to like the altar that we have at home, and just out of nowhere, and we just do it. And I just find that a lot more peaceful now. It's just a lot more peaceful than I ever did before in my life. So like it was very nice. And I feel, like I said, very content and very much a lot more faithful towards my faith.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. What would you guys kind of say is if you do have any, what is either your questions or queries or maybe it's things that you're not completely sure about within your faith, and what, I guess, if you were to have some answers to it, what is those things that might be troubling you? Might be not the best word.
I actually, like a few days ago, I talked about this with my friend recently. The context of that is that when she first came to my house like a few years ago, she didn't know that I was Catholic, and then until she saw the Mother Mary thing, and then I was like, you're Catholic, yeah? So like, yeah, and then she said like, at least you're progressive, not like traditional like Catholic, and I was like,
you didn't understand back then.
yeah,
because
I
you
didn't
weren't.
understand back then until when she elaborate more.
There's one question I want to ask before we kind of wrap this up. So don't worry, it'll be soon. But just give me a second. All right, final question before we wrap up is, again, to do with the fact you are a couple, young couple in faith. In this modern world where, well, I would say the Christian faith is looked down upon, but generally where faith or religion is not the most popular thing, how do you navigate your, not just in your faith and in society? How do you either keep the two worlds separate, or do you bring the two worlds together? And how do you kind of go about those things? And what is maybe your advice to people who might start dating or young couples that are struggling with this aspect of their life? And how have you guys kind of, pushed pushed forward through it.
Wait, so
In
you
terms
mean
of
like
faith or like general relationship?
So
like
how?
bringing religion into like
So your faith
Yeah.
and your relationship as one. Do you keep it separated, or is it something that you hold in simultaneously? And then if you do hold it simultaneously, how do you live that out?
okay, wait. Okay, I think I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, forgive my English.
I think you hold it together because in a way it's like the way I see it is that the way I always see when people I meet is that all the things that happen, there's always a reason for it. For hopefully the people you meet, it's for good reasons. Sometimes it may be bad, but in this case, like with Jasmine, I know it's a good reason and like trying to, I think you bring it together, right? In a way that, you know, God would help you, teach you how to love each other, love yourself, and love your family and everyone else, right? So I think the challenge is that you don't do it yourself. You do it together kind of as a team and as a, you know, like a family, right? Like in a way that God is with us with any problems we face with, right? It's not, you're on your own.
Yeah.
You're going to figure out yourself. It's, I'm with you. No matter what it is, we do it together. So that's how I would put it.
Okay, interesting. Jasmine, would you like to add anything?
I would say, in me and Isaac's case, our faith is kind of like pretty much similar already. So like us bringing the faith is actually a lot more simpler. But for those people who may feel like there are different aspects in terms of religions and stuff like that, I would just say both be very open-minded about each other's religion and just see how you guys can progress into one together or something like that.
If not, I think just most importantly, be respectful and just love each other.
Yeah.
And, you know, slowly.
What do you think when Christ basically says like not to be, what's the word? Do you know Jacob? It's like where he basically says you shouldn't like be unequally yoked. Do you think that relates to the cases of religion as well, or is it something else?
Well, it's like, this is kind of like the question of career, like questioning like when morals come in, right? Because I think, well, personally, I think like at the end of the day, every action, if you have a morally good reason and justifiable reason, like, well, regarding the like religion, right? I think it's hard to like, you know, because I know it's like for other couples, it's hard for one person to convert to another, right? Because in a sense, it's like it's part of their identity and stuff, right? And I feel like the most important thing is as long as, you know, if they want to, they can. But I don't feel like you should ever force someone to, if that makes sense, right? Even because it's kind of like that topic of free will autonomy, right? You know, I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is that as long as you're loving and good, caring person you respect, that should be, you know, in a relationship, that should be the priority, is to love each other, respect each other, and, you know, if they want to change, they can, but if they don't want to, then you can't really, you know, force that. Or, yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add, or you're good?
I think I'm all good, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for your time, and I do appreciate it. But at the end of every episode, we do pray, and
Okay.
I invite you guys if you two would like to lead it, maybe.
Oh,
If you don't want to, it's fine.
I
I'm
wouldn't-
happy to.
yeah,
But
yeah.
if you're more than welcome to lead it as well. But in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Thank you, dear God, for bringing us all here. We're all here for a reason, and I know that, you know, anything that you do is for a purpose. What that purpose is, I'm sure we will come to find out. And Lord, I thank you for the gift of Jasmine and Isaac and of Jacob. I thank you for this allegiance, for bringing us all here. And Lord, I pray for just like young people like Jasmine and Isaac who have gone through the struggle of mental health or might still be struggling with it, that you let them know that you're with them, you love them, that you you're there through the worst of it, and even if they don't realize it, you're there in the best of it. Lord, shower them with your love and pour a drop of your precious blood on them. Remind them of their sacrifice on the cross, especially in this time of Lent. Help us reflect on your passion and the sins that the sins of our us and our forefathers that you bore. Lord, also, just like this beautiful couple in front of me, help young couples, young faithful couples, know that you are the center point of their relationship, and that through you all things come forth, all good, all life, all love comes forth. And help them make you the focus of their lives, and to shine and reflect your love in their lives and through the lives of others. We pray this through the intercession of Mother Mary, to your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. All glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Miracle of Christians, pray for us.
Yes.
All the angels and saints,
Pray for us.
in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your time here. If you've made it to the end of this video, it's a special episode. A little bit longer, but I appreciate Jasmine and Isaac for you coming through and spending the time and being as honest and open as you can be. I pray for your future, whatever God has planned for you, and I hope you keep us in your prayers as well. Thank you.
Thank you so
Keep
much.
blessed, and
Thank you.
as Willer is not here, but as he loves to say, unleash your flame on your name. Take care. Love you. Bye.